I love Pokemon Sword and Shield. Alright, I'm gonna be real with all y'all. I love this game because of just the complete irony of it all. So, in case you've been living underneath a rock or whatever, Pokemon Sword and Shield came out and there was all this controversy. There's all these people talking about animation quality, there's reuse of models, there's no national decks, there's just a whole lot of just people trying their best to I guess in a way prove that the game is sort of like lazy, like it's put together really patchworky, I guess is what people are trying to prove. I don't really understand it, but look, I played the game. I'll be honest, I finished it, I beat it, I did everything. I caught the legendary and all that. And guess what? It was more Pokemon. It was literally just more Pokemon. That's all it was. It had some interesting new ideas, but Pokemon's been doing these gimmicky little things every generation. Coming back actually, because I played Pokemon when I was younger. I played all the way up until Gen 4, the Unova region. I think that's what Gen 4 is. And after that, I was just like, okay, this is fun. Like, this is just Pokemon. Like, it sort of became like I could step away from the series and be like, okay, this is the what Pokemon is. I can jump back in whenever I need to. And so, my older brother, he plays every single generation. We own every single generation, and I saw all this controversy with the Sword and Shield, and I saw it was finally coming to the Switch. No more handheld. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest like graphics guy. Sure, there's some stuff where it's like it just looks bad, but if the gameplay is really fun, and with Pokemon, the gameplay stays relatively the same. They throw in all these like gimmicky little things. And if people really criticize the Gigantamax stuff because it's like, oh, remember Mega Evolutions, remember Z moves, remember like blank, and it's just like, it's these fun little gimmicky things that they have to throw in to sort of spice it up. But at least the core gameplay staying the same. And let me tell you, the worst is when a franchise, when they change the gameplay or change huge elements into it. I mostly think of Assassin's Creed in this. I used to be the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, but then after Odyssey, like that's it. And I'm pretty sure the series is dead at this point because that they're making that new like gods and monsters or whatever it's called. Either way, back to what I was saying, and that Pokemon Sword and Shield is the ultimate form of irony because there are so many people who have bashed this game to death. They are literally beating a dead horse, but they continue to make content or to constantly give their time to it. And there are now entire channels who have earned thousands, if not tens of thousands of subscribers. There's this one, I don't know what the channel's name is, but I see them constantly recommended because I looked up some stuff for Sword and Shield about the wild area. And this person, man, they they are capitalizing on this. There's this other channel. I have no idea. I don't know the names. I'm not gonna look them up. I don't really care. But it's all just posting of like the quote bad animation of Sword and Shield, when it's just like it's not really that bad. I don't know. I'm not really a person who cares all that much about it. Like if it's satisfying gameplay, that's all I really care about. If it's just satisfying gameplay, you got my money. That's all you gotta do. But I do find it ultimately just like ironic the amount of people that bash this game, hate it, tell everybody not to buy it, yet it is one of the fastest selling Switch games. And people don't care about the controversy. Like I would hope they don't because it's obviously selling. So then that means nobody cares. Nobody honestly cares about all this controversy. Who knows? Maybe people are buying a copy, play it for like an hour and say, oh, this is garbage, and then they go return it or something. But you still bought a copy. Like, that's all Nintendo cares about is buying or just selling copies. Like, as long as you're buying it, they don't really care. Like, and who knows, maybe Pokemon will evolve in the future. Maybe they'll take a little bit of a break. I doubt they'll take a little bit of a break. Another thing that I saw about Pokemon Sword and Shield was, very big, heavy criticisms about the Pokemon designs, right? And it frustrates me because it's just like people don't listen to what they're saying. When people say like, oh, this isn't Pokemon. Like, these aren't Pokemon. What are these? These aren't Pokemon. And it's like, the people who made the game made the characters. Like the people who make the game are making these playable characters, catchable Pokemon, whatever you want to call them. Yes, it is Pokemon. They know what they're doing because they created it. And if you're saying like, oh, it's a brand new team, there's new artists or whatever, the people who were in charge before pick these people. Like it's not like they're just bringing on random artists they found on like online and we're just like, hey, make a Pokemon for us, and everyone's like, oh, it's garbage. Like, obviously, there are professionals who probably have some sort of merit or some sort of experience making character designs that they very obviously came in and made new Pokemon. And I'm sure there was some director or something who signed off. You could be saying it's a new director, but usually, like, they are brought up into the director role. They aren't just given the role of a director for a series that's been going on for years. But I just find it hilarious when people are like, they don't know what Pokemon are. I know what Pokemon are. These aren't Pokemon. I know what it is. It's like, how many Pokemon games have you made? Like, come on, people. You gotta be kidding me with this. Oh, man. But yeah, it's just like Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's so ironic. It is both the like best selling or one of the best selling Pokemon games while also being one of the most hated Pokemon games. And the thing is a lot of the criticism I get is very much just people online just not wanting people to have nice things. Like actual Pokemon fans, they could have their complaints and be like, oh, I didn't like I have some complaints about the game, but I mean they're just small and I still found the game to be worth the buying price. It was just a really good game. Believe it or not, it's a good Pokemon game. It's just more Pokemon. It has fun little gimmicks in there, and it does its job. I can't understand a real Pokemon, like a real Pokemon fan, not just the people who post or repost all these like like the whole save data being corrupted, the whole no national decks, the whole reuse of animations and all this. Like those kind of people aren't really like huge into Pokemon, I guess you could say. They aren't like what do they call them these days? Stans, right? Isn't that what they call like super fans? Like you stand for blank. In this case, you would stand for Pokemon, I guess. But like actual Pokemon fans are just like, yeah, the game, it has its little flaws, but it's just more Pokemon, and I like Pokemon, so that's it. Like that's literally it. And they love the addition of the wild area. Random encounters are still sort of in there in a little bit. It's time for a series to evolve, right? Like a series can't stay exactly the same. It could have the same core gameplay. The way I like to think of it is the Arkham series, right? There's the Batman Arkham series. You play the first one. It is very basic in terms of comparing it to the newest one, which was Arkham Knight. Batman Arkham Asylum, right? Combat was solid. Enemy variety was pretty good. Locations were pretty good. And then Arkham Knight happened. And Arkham Knight definitely evolved in the combat. There's definitely better use of gadgets. There was better combos. There's better enemy variety. But there was also a huge flaw in that game that it relied too heavily on the Batmobile, right? You play that game, the Batmobile, I hated it. I hated that the game was like 60% Batmobile, 40% Batman is how it felt. But with Pokemon, the Pokemon Sword and Shield, the big change here is sort of the wild area, and now in the main games, because in the side games of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, there was the sort of Pokemon walking around, and you could see them in the tall grass. There was no more random encounters. And now brought into Pokemon Sword and Shield, there is Pokemon walking around, and you can go fight them. They chase after you. You can see them before you attack them. There's also random encounters, which are just like exclamation points in the grass, and if you step on it, you'll get a random Pokemon that's supposed to spawn there, that kind of thing. People say a bit of a criticism is that the wild area is very much just like patched into the game, because the rest of the game and the rest of the map or the world, whatever you want to call it, the Galar region, is very much like a classic Pokemon game. It is just like routes, however you say it, routes that you go through. You go to a next town and you battle the gym leader, you go through the next town, and then there's this wild area that sort of connects two major big cities. And it is a bit like odd, I guess you could say, because it feels very unnatural transitioning from one side, like one part of the game to the next part of the game, because the wild area very much feels like it is a disjointed MMO-ish style kind of thing, like open world-ish, not really, pseudo open world. I don't know what to call it. But if if you have Nintendo Switch Online, you could see other people's sprites. You can go to these little like I don't even know what they call them anymore. I guess raid dens. I don't know what they're called, but like there's these little like beam of lights, and you fight giant Pokemon. I'm sure the whole Gigantamaxing thing. Everyone is assuming it's gonna be gone in the next game. Sort of like Mega Evolutions, like Z moves. There's these things that are just going to disappear and probably never be mentioned again. But I mean, some of the Gigantamax stuff is kind of cool, but it does seem fun for like it is very much like fun for 2 minutes, and then you're like, okay, I'm probably never gonna do that again. And it's true, you probably won't. Thing is like you can't Gigantamax anywhere. There's only certain locations where you can Gigantamax, and I feel like that really took away from the game. Like, I don't expect wild Pokemon to be able to Gigantamax, but maybe like, random trainer fights that you go when you're, going from gym to gym. Maybe somewhere randomly they could Gigantamax too or something. I don't know. It just sort of felt like, you're in a gym, so only in gym fights can you Gigantamax. Like, that's it. And then when you go do the raids with other people, you can Gigantamax there too. But that's really about it. There's not a lot of, I don't know, there's not a lot of usage of the Gigantamax, especially when you put so many Pokemon to have different forms when they Gigantamax, and you're sort of pushed into like using it, because if you don't, the gym leader will absolutely stomp you. So it's like, I wish it was better implemented, but either way, it's just more Pokemon. I love the Pokemon games. They're just fun. They're just super fun. Story is all right. It's passable for a Pokemon game. It is also one of those things where people need to take a little bit of a step back and realize that it's a child's game. And like, I know the whole like, no, video games are for adults, and we buy the games and we're cool and all of that. No, like, just take a step back real quick. Realize that it's just a video game. They come out every year. It's just a video game. Like, I don't know. It's interesting when people can't, when the whole controversy of a video game is more important than the real life, or it is as important as the real life, that I often have to find myself taking a step back and just realizing like, this is too much. This is just like you could be angry at the game, don't buy it, and just throw away all your Pokemon merchandise. I don't know. I can't imagine the person who sees no national deck, sees the reuse of models, all this controversy, and decides that they are done with Pokemon. They are no longer playing this. This is absolute trash. I can't believe I wasted so much time. Like, I can't imagine that person, because there is no person like that. There's a lot of trolls. I mean, obviously, it's the internet. There's going to be trolls. And people will make jokes. They'll be like, oh, Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's garbage, blah, blah, blah. Look at the reuse of the animations. Look how horrible this is. But it's like, just having fun. Like, it's just a video game. Like, it's fun to play, and that's it. That's all there really is.